There's a lot happening in the world right now. Iran, the US, Israel escalation, counter moves, statements being made. Black gold is reacting. Markets are adjusting, and most people are watching the headlines. One thing is for certain, though, and two things are for sure. If this period produces structural investments, I'm talking refining capacity, logistics improvements, export processing zones, then the shock becomes leverage. If it produces consumption and temporary expansion, the cycle repeats. That's our T junction in the road. Because when geographical tension rises in the Middle East, oil exporters like Nigeria experience something familiar. Revenue improves, physical pressure eases slightly. There's some breathing room. We have some space to breathe. We've seen this before, however. If you think about, we've lived through commodity cycles in the past. Look at Iraq in the early 2000s until then 2028 happened and prices collapsed. Or the Arab Spring, oil stayed above 110 oil stayed above $100 for years. There was confidence once again. Then 2014 happened, oil dropped, and by 2016 we were in a recession. As recent as 2022, when the Russia-Ukraine war disrupted global energy markets, prices shot up past 120, but that didn't last long, and the naira adjusted, structural constraints remained. My question isn't whether higher oil prices help. They do in the short term. The real question is whether we convert volatility into capacity. While headlines focus on retaliation and military positioning, something quieter is happening globally. Capital is reallocating energy. Its energy security strategies are being updated. Manufacturers are reassessing sourcing exposure. Institutional investors are readjusting geographic risk weightings. These decisions don't trend, but they shape the next decade. When conversations about the conflict happen, most of the focus is on who's winning, who escalated, which alliance looks stronger. That's expected. But very little attention goes to refining margins, shipping insurance costs, alternative sourcing strategies in Europe and Asia, or how supply chains quietly reposition when risk rises. That gap matters because capital doesn't respond to stories, it responds to systems. Refining instead of exporting crude, for example, processing minerals instead of shipping raw ore, strengthening ports, upgrading rail corridors that connect production zones to export terminals, reducing friction between extraction and shipment. Infrastructure is quiet, it doesn't trend, but it determines throughput. It determines cost efficiency, it determines whether investors see capacity or constraints. Nigeria sits in a position that could matter in this adjustment. Oil, gas, critical minerals, strategic geography, a huge young population. But resources alone don't shift outcomes. Systems will. If this window is treated as disciplined capital formation, logistics, processing, rail connectivity, export efficiency, the baseline shifts. The external conflict will change. It always does. What remains is whether internal capacity improved while the world was distracted. That's the part that determines who is stronger 5 years from now. And that's what I'm watching. If this sits well with you, hit the like button, subscribe, and join the conversation. Let's think long term. Until the next one.